So the next thing we need to do before I start patterning is decide on magnet closures for different flaps. So I opened up my book and took a pencil, and I know that I'm going to want this held with a magnet some way. You can either do it on the back and onto this, but I think I want to create like a matte flap. Let's see, I don't have any scraps of paper, but for example, I would take a piece of cardstock and probably cut it down to about a 3x4 or something, and then pattern paper on that, and then I would put a magnet on the back, on the flap, and a magnet here on this page. So there's the flap of glue here. For example, if I use this, of course this is not going to be big enough, this is going to be the decorative part on the flap at the pumpkin patch. So this left side would glue down after you pattern, and then before you pattern you would put the opposing magnet here. So you would have a magnet on your flap and here. And of course you have to cover the back of whatever flap piece, but I'm going to do probably a square and then have the pumpkin patch on that. So that when it opens up, then we have the waterfall inside, and we don't attach this until we've patterned this part here. And then page 1 has the sliding, so there's no magnets needed there. I flipped over to page 2, and we have the double here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to attach a mat here on the left, put the magnet on the right back side, and then put the magnet here on this. And so inside I'm going to just put a magnet on this back page flap and on the front of this page flap. So that magnet goes there, this goes like this, and then this will close down like that. So you just have to think about it before you do your patterning. That's why I write in pencil on my notes. This one, page 3, I think. Okay, I know that I don't think I'll need one on this top flap. Let me slide this over. But here on this inside, I'm going to need a magnet here and here, and I'm hoping that it will hit the magnets that I put here and here and here and here. So this magnet, this one, they're going to close up. This is going to close up. And then I'm going to try to place a magnet just so that it catches through the other magnets and closes that whole piece up, and then that comes over. And then we open this up. I'm going to put another magnet on a flap here with a magnet here on the base of the page. And I will probably do most of this patterning and decorating off camera, but I will turn the camera on when I am doing certain things with the magnet so that you can see. Page 5, I'm just going to leave it with a flap, and I don't think I'm going to put anything. Or you can do the string closure, so that's a possibility. And on some of these I did put or string closure, so I think a string closure here would be good too. If I do that, then I would have to put a magnet. So no, that would have a magnet. So that might work better for this one, would be a string closure. We'll see. And I will share that if that's what I do. And so then we have the repeat, so you just go ahead and make your notes on the repeat pages the same way. I'm going to make the magnet flap comes this way, or string closure again, like that. Did I put magnets on this one? Double check here. Yes. So I need to open this up, and I want to put a magnet here on the back side of this flap before I have the pattern paper, and then over here wherever it matches up. So that just kind of helps remind me before I glue that pattern paper down. This page 8, not one here, but one probably here. That would kind of be it. Oops. And then I'd say inside like that. Then this is another magnet on the flap or with a string. Got your pocket in there. And then the last one's going to be left loose. Unless then when I pattern it, I decide that it needs to be held with something. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting my papers. Again, when you're patterning your papers, measure your length and your height. And depending on how much border you want around it, I'm going to trim this 1/8 shorter in the height and 1/8 shorter in the length on all of my sections that I'm going to add pattern paper. For the inside cover, where the waterfall's going to go, I'm going to show what I'm doing here. I cut a piece of paper to cover this top flap and rounded the corners to match. I'm using the 1/2 inch on the chomper corner rounder. And I took a scrap of the cardstock, cut it 4 inches long, 3 inches tall, and I went around at the corners, cut a piece of this, the back side of this paper, 1/8 of an inch shorter, so I cut it 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. This is going to be my closure piece right here. Okay, so I'm going to attach this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this over upside down and take my pencil, or marker, where's my pencil? Okay, and I'm going to eyeball it. I want it centered, and I'm about 1 inch from this edge, probably, maybe 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to put a mark here and here. I know that's where my glue line. I'm going to put glue on where this whole X is. That's going to be glue. This is going to be uncovered until I put the magnet on. So I'm going to go ahead and take my glue, put a line of glue right where I drew that line, and put a glue on this whole piece here on this side. No glue where it's sticking off the page. So I'm going to look at it, center it best I can, and then make sure it's straight. If you need to use your ruler here to get a straight edge like this, you can. So it's straight. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that down. So that is my closure piece right there, and I had taken out of the ephemera pack this little tag that says "At the Pumpkin Patch," and I was thinking about putting some of these, maybe. Like that, or maybe more like this. I'm going to leave these two guys off for now till I decide, but I do want this right here, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. Come back to the more decorating I will later for what I do. Of course, you can put on it whatever you want. I just thought this would be really cute with the waterfall at the pumpkin patch. So right there. Okay, now we're going to grab a magnet set. I think I'm going to go ahead and use the large basic gray set. So I need a plus and a minus. So you always want two opposing. Put the metal to metal, and I'm going to pull off just one of the paper backings for now. I'm going to lift up this flap, and I'm going to center this. I'm going to center it pretty good so I have extra paper, room for paper here on the side. So see how I centered it, pressed it down, and then I'm going to take the other paper backing off. And with this flap closed down, I'm going to let it press down and then lift up. So I have my two magnets attached. I'm just going to cover it with some tape. Make sure that they don't come loose before I'm ready. Okay. Now when you do that, then you're ready to go ahead and add your pattern paper over this magnet on this flap. Just right there. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Pull this paper tape backing off, and I'm going to put a little glue right on around that magnet. Make sure that I got it. And then we're going to line this up. And burnish. Around that magnet, and make sure you burnish so that you don't have any ripples, and then this will close over like that. I kind of like that without the pumpkins on there. It's kind of pretty, very simple. So I'm going to open this up now. Off camera, I measured and cut pattern paper to cover this inside section. There, And now we're ready to put this in. So we have already assembled our waterfall. So this one's just going to be all glue on the back side here. I'm not making a belly band or pocket with this one. We're just going to glue this flat down. Assembling the waterfall on a base piece just helps to make you get it in straighter, and I think makes it a little more secure or stable. Okay, so to make sure that I line this up best I can, side to side, kind of center it, top to bottom. Get it on straight, and I'm going to burnish this down. I'm going to lift this up the last pages and really burnish here. Get all this stuck in good. And then also I want to make sure between each gusset, that is what's attaching it down. So press down and burnish those between each page. Okay, so now our waterfall is in. I am not going to add pattern paper until I finish the rest of the book because I don't want to run out. It may be that I will just use a scrap of paper, for example, across the bottom of each one like that. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I will go ahead and pattern this top one, and I'm going to go ahead and cut papers to cover the backs of these. I'll do that off camera, but that's how you put your waterfall in and your magnet closure for that. For page 2, I decided to use the string closure for the string wrap closure for the flaps. So I cut out, first you cut out your pattern paper that are going to cover these flaps. So see, I had notes to either do magnet flap or string closure. So I cut out my pattern paper, 1/8 of an inch shorter and 1/8 of an inch shorter each direction. So mine ended up being 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So I cut out, excuse me, 2 out of these leaves. Then I laid them together face to face and took my pokey tool and poked a hole through both so they would be in the same position. Took a scrap of the paper and punched out a 3/4 inch circle, pokey hole through the center of those with my piercing tool, and then I inserted 2 brads from the Fall Market Cartabella decorative brads pack. So now I'm ready to just glue these in, and then I will add string. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this here and some glue. I'm just going to put glue on the back of the pattern paper. And glue it down on each flap on the front side. I'm just lining it up. Make sure I burnish it down. I want it to stay good, nice and smooth. Okay, and now the other one. Okay, so this should be pretty close to across from each other. And you would take like baker's twine or a button string and loop it around one and tie it so that it stays on, and then you have the free end to wrap around. So I'm going to do that after I do all my patterning, but that's how you put a string closure piece on if you're using brads. This is also still page 2. Open these flaps up, and I forgot that here on these big flaps I want to put magnets, and I'm going to go ahead and try, because this main piece will hold it down, and I just want something to secure this, so I'm going to use the small basic gray magnets. I have the plus and a minus, put the metal to each other, let them attach, and I'm pulling the backing off of one. Is there a little, pull that off. And I'm going to lift this left one up, and I'm going to put the magnet about, let's see, about 3/4 of an inch from the edge so that it attaches down here. Pull that backing off. Go ahead and attach your little magnet down. And then lift it up and add a little bit of score tape. So now I'm ready to go ahead and add the pattern paper over both of the magnets. Remember to pull your tape backing off when you're gluing down your patterned paper mat here for this section. And that's how that will close, and then that will close and wrap with a string. For page 3, I pieced scraps of paper for this top flap. I haven't done anything to this one. I patterned this flap and this flap on the front, and I wanted to show you where I'm planning on doing magnets. So I think I'm going to use the small ones again. Grab some of those. Okay. So where it says magnet here, let me get my sets. A plus and a minus for there, and I need another set. Sorry, sometimes these little ones are tricky to get out of the plastic. This one like doesn't want to leave. It's home. Here we go. Okay. So we have another set here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this down like this. It's going to go over this. So I'm going to put a magnet about right here, about 3/4 of the way down, and then I'm going to open this and stick it here. So I'm going to separate that and see if it holds like that. Okay. And let's do the other side. Open this up this way, and peel this backing off and close this one down. Open it up. So I had magnets labeled here, but I think I'm sorry, I'm playing with this to see how I wanted it to go. This is supposed to go like this and down and then open. So this flap, perhaps, I'm going to see which one works with it. There. So that's a plus. Grab a minus. So I'm going to put one magnet, just a minus one, on this long flap here, like that. Then I will cover that up. So then that goes like this. And here we have the magnet, here, and then we have magnets inside. So I'm still working on page 3 with all the fold outs because I want these to also attach down with magnets. So I have added an extra set of magnets here. So let me see. I think So I want them to stick like this. So I'm going to bring it down so that they stick. So I'm going to pull the backing off, and then I'm going to cover them with patterned paper. So I actually have magnets here, here, and then also in here. But that's because I decided I wanted this one to be stuck down better, this piece here. So I would suggest that you play with your magnets and determine where you want your how you want your flaps to attach down. So I'm going to go ahead and add patterned paper to this here to give this divided look here. And so this flaps over like that. So this, all this piecing goes together, I think. And now these open up. And we have these here. And also they fold down. And so I need to do some more patterning on all this. Like that on the back side. And then of course there at the top, right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then we'll keep on working on different things. Paper, open this up, and decided I needed a magnet to hold these down. So I did add an extra magnet here and here to match up with the magnets already under this paper. Then I covered those magnets with these cut aparts, these 3x4s, and so now that holds down like that, and I'm happy with that, and then that holds down with that. So we have the whole thing being held with magnets. For page 4, I've already matted the top flap. I'm going to create a flap magnet closure. So I'm going to put the magnet here on the bottom flap, on the outside of the bottom flap, about right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and peel this backing off. And I'm going to turn this over. I should have not peeled that off. Leave the paper backing on and get your glue placement of what you want for your card here, your cut apart. So I'm going to mark a line right here. This is where I know the glue shouldn't go past this. So this is where the glue is going to go. So now I pull this backing off, take my glue, and I'm going to add glue just to this top half, to the line that I drew. And then I'm going to position this centered, straight as possible. Press that magnet down and glue this top part down. I'm going to lift it up and double check and make sure everything's in place. So there's your magnet here at the top and here on the bottom. Now we can go ahead and add our pattern paper here over this piece. So I'm going to put some glue on the magnet. And I want the stripe this time, so I'm going to put it on the back on the floral. And go ahead and mat this down over the magnet. And burnish that. So now I have this flat piece, and I will cut a scrap of paper and mat on the back of this, like something like this, over the back when I'm ready. And then I'm ready to go ahead and pattern the inside of the flaps and this back part in the pocket. Page 8 is the same as page 3 that we did earlier, and since I kind of messed up on the closure, I put the string down and then changed it to magnet. I'm going to try to show you here what I'm doing on this one. So I'm going to open it all the way up because I know I want a magnet here in the back. I'm trying to decide where we want this to go. So I've got it wrote here in the center here, but I'm going to move it over about right here. And over here. And I'm going to put some tape on them to make sure they stay, especially this one because it didn't have as much sticky on it. I had used it somewhere else and changed my mind, so I'm going to make sure I put tape on it. And then the next piece that's going to fold up is going to be here. But I think okay, so this is why these were over further. Should go by what I wrote down. So move this more here, and this one over a little bit more, kind of off-centered. It's going to be right there, still in that flap. Then this is going to come up, and we're going to open this up. Now, we're not putting one on the back side. I'm going to match up a magnets here. And it's going to be, let's see, another plus. I want the sticky side down. There we go. Like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the backing off of those. I want it to match the magnet that's on the inside. Hope that's making sense to you. I'm just lining it up, letting it, I'm pulling the sticky off, but I'm letting it attach down where the magnet is. So this magnet on this side is matching this one in here. So I'm going to put some paper tape on those, score tape. Now the next magnet I want is here to close this up. So I'm going to see what matches what. There we go. So this, mine's a minus on those two. So I'm going to pull the paper backing off. And then I'm going to close these flaps and open them back up. Add my score tape to secure them. Okay. So these close back up, opens down like that. Okay. Now these are going to come down, so we need another set of magnets. And I'm going to put, I have two, I'm going to take two pluses at the top. Let's see where this one hits, right there. I'm going to bring this over just a little bit, oh, about right there. I'm going to put a minus on it. Pull this off. Close this down. I'm going to put a plus one here. Add a minus to the top of it. Pull the paper off. It's kind of like doing a puzzle. You just have to figure it all out. So that's those. I'm going to open them up. Add my score tape. Because I might be a bit before I actually add the pattern paper, and I want to make sure these don't come off when they stick together. So this will give me some time to take care of that. And this is bending here, it's catching somehow, so I'm going to put some score tape, I think, maybe right there in that corner on each side to strengthen that until I get that pattern paper on there. Just a little bit right there. Don't put too close to the edge. I should have scooted it over a little bit. Put some more on there. I don't know why that keeps bending, but there we go. Okay, just kind of to strengthen that maybe. So that closes down, that closes down. Now the next one is going to go here. So do I need a plus or a minus? So I only have one. It's going the wrong direction, but I'm going to leave this backing on, and I'm going to, let's see, I think put the tape over it. let it attach down. Then I'm going to close this up and grab that. So that one is on there like that. So I could have taken that paper off. Take that. I'm going to redo that. I don't want that paper on there. I'm going to peel that backing off and add me some tape over it so that I won't have paper peeling off. And then we're going to attach it down, close this flap over it, and let it grab. Okay, so there's that one there. So that should close up that whole section, and now it's ready for the patterned paper. I have all the patterned paper down on this mini album, and so I'm going to share real quick what I have done. I have not done any decorating. This is the basic album assembled in the patterned papers that I have used so far. Some of the sections are left craft because that's the way I wanted to leave them at this time. I have another project I want to do with this collection, so I didn't want to use up all my paper. Did end up using, there's 12 sheets of patterned paper designs that you can get for this collection. So to pattern all this, what I have done, I used 2 sheets of each print except for the fall floral, which is this one with the stripes on the back. I only used one of those. Now I have some half sheets left of some of the patterns that I'll be using on my next project, and a lot of scraps. But that's what you're going to need if you want to pattern it the way I did. You're going to need 2 of each of 11 patterns and 1 each of the fall floral, and I'll put that in my cutting guide. So let's go through what I've done. I've patterned the front and the back with the fall leaves, and I used the plaid on the spine. And then when we open it up, on the inside cover we have the waterfall. I used the pumpkins here, the blue dot, and I did add one of the I think sticker sheets. I think that was a sticker or a cutout. No, it was one of the cutouts. I'm sorry, I don't have the sticker sheet with this time. I have the ephemera pack, so that's where that came from. And then we're going to pull this tab up, and this is where I left this blank. I may piece once I'm all done, or if you want to order extra paper of what you like of this collection, you could do that for this flap here and this one on the inside, or you can just leave it blank or add solid, different solid color, or leave it for your photos. The waterfall, I just patterned solid this one first flap, and then all of these are left blank except for a 1/2 inch border. And since I wanted my orientation to be this way, this is the front, I wanted the design to go this way. Make sure that you cut these. So I didn't have scraps. I had to use a 1/2 sheet of this particular pattern to get the stripe and the pumpkins and the wagons going this way. So each one just has one strip, 1/2 inch strip on the bottom. This helps eliminate bulk when you're adding photos. And then the very last one in here does not have anything. And of course I patterned the back with this yellow print here. So then this all comes together and closes with a magnet. Page 1 has this belly band. I pieced the front of it. This slides, so I have these 2 flaps covered. When you open it up, this flap and this flap are left blank. This one especially, because I want to be able to slide this, this one would be a good place for a photo. You could put small photos here on this belly band piece that slides, but I also pieced that to give it that look. This is solid patterned with the pumpkins. Open it up, and I left the back side blank. Again, you could add a solid color or just photos. I did a strip here of pattern paper scrap because I liked it to be closed up like that, where you could kind of have a continuation there. So this is blank and this is blank, and then I patterned the back with the fall leaves. So this closes up like that. And then, whoops. Oh, the belly band. I'm like, how did I close it? I forgot. This slides right back over. Now we do 2 of each page design in this book, so you'll have another one of these. Okay, so then you flip it over to page 2. This has the string wrap closure. I patterned with the fall leaves here. You open this up, so this is blank here for these. I did pattern the inside of these flaps with the stripe and then the trucks and the baskets. This is the plaid again. This lifts up, this lifts up. These are all patterned. This is a pocket here, so you can add something inside here, photo mats or whatever. I pieced this here to match the pockets. This is not a pocket. Pocket is here on the right. So then we just fold this all up. Make sure we're folding it back down right, and then close it with the string. This page here, we have this long piece that holds it with the magnet. I paper pieced all of this to have enough. Open it up. I did a full piece here, cut a piece here of this pattern, and then the dots here on this flap. This lifts up. So I did leaves here. These are 2 separate. And then I have these that I pieced together with a strip here, or if you want to put a solid piece and then add the scrap over it, you can do that. This flips open this way. So I pieced, and to hide where I put the magnets, I added these cut-aparts, little strips of these scraps of paper. So this closes back down, and then you can also open it up this way. So you see the pieced here to get that finished. So that goes like that. So you can use the patterns that you want to use and decorate it up however you want to. This is just how I did it to get as much done with as least amount of paper as I could. So this is a cut apart here that lifts up, and I did pattern all this, and we got the pocket here on the inside. So that closes up, and then this page is the last page design. So we open this up this way, and it's just a flap where you can put a picture here, you can put small pictures there, and it's just held with the twine. So this opens up. So this starts over the page design. So this is the border, the belly band closure. So this is pieced. I did use 2 solid patterns of this for the flap. Open this up blank, blank under the belly band, solid on this one, blank here, just the strip of scraps here, and then solid in here, so this one's left blank as well. So that's how that one goes, and this time I'm going to remember that this is kept closed with a belly band. And then we slide over here another double door. This opens like this. I did piece these with the stripe, little scraps of straps, and this you have to piece when you need to trying to cover different areas. Blank here, these 2 patterned that way, and then this right here opens up, so I patterned for the pocket here, and I did have to piece some of this to get this continuation the way I wanted it to go all the way across with that saying. So it goes like that, and back down. And this opens back to the next page. So this is all pieced here on this top flap, solid on that left side. Covered these flaps, piece these top flaps, piece these here. This comes down. These are pieced also, and then of course these open back this way. And I put the magnets in before I added the pattern paper, but I still wanted the cut aparts on this one to match, to be like the other page set that I did. So that closes up. Use a cut apart for the closure here, the magnets inside, magnets in here. I showed you how to do that on one set of pages. So these are all matted. Got a pocket here, and I should have a cut apart here somewhere for that. Whoops, let me grab it. I might have one of the, dropped it on the floor. One of the 4x6s that can go in here like that, and close that up. And then the last page here is that single flap, the closed with the string. So I did solid here, a piece this on the inside, and this is a solid pattern here. So this just closes up like this. And then the inside back cover is a pocket. I did use a border strip here. I added this pattern here and the fall leaves in the back, and then you can tuck photo mats and cut aparts there. So that is the pattern. Oh, and be sure to cut strips of paper from your scraps. Like this one had to be a little wider because I have a wider left over to the binding. Don't cover with pattern paper your fold. See how that's got a fold? So you'll make sure that these are all less than a 1/2 inch in here, so as not to hinder the folding part of my album. And it's all scraps left over, cut to that length. And then this one here is a little bit shorter in the width, but again, keep it off of that fold in there. So that's the basic tutorial for this album. I will be decorating mine off camera, and then I will showcase the final project, and you can use my ideas and decorate yours the same or do it differently. Sometimes I use things from my stash to kind of add to this, different flowers if I'm going to use them, stuff like that. So I'll be back with that. I don't know if that will be in the tutorial video or a separate video. So if it's separate, I want to thank you so much for watching. Encourage you to shop at countrycraftcreations.com. You want to make sure you stock up on your art glitter glue, because once it starts getting cold in the wintertime up in Utah and then also where you live, it cannot be shipped because it freezes. So you want to stock up before the winter so that you can keep crafting. Check for your score tape, your artisan cardstock, your patterned papers, everything that you need for your collection, for your project. I believe she now has the button twine, and the brads for this set are getting really low. She may be able to restock that, but you want to check all that. Remember, this is the Carta Bella Fall Market paper collection. You can buy the single sheets in the 12 by 12. This is all done with the 12 by 12. Okay, also I'll be using, in case I didn't tell you, I will be using the chipboard phrases and also the ephemera pack with mine. And some of the ribbons that you can find at Country Craft Creations, your seam binding ribbon and this really fun fall type ribbon. So I have mine in my packet with the dots, so I may be using it on this or on my other project. Okay, thank you so much for watching.